The view of Earth from the observation deck never failed to take Frank Miller's breath away. The swirling blue oceans, the patchwork of green and brown land masses, and the delicate wisps of white clouds made him proud to be human. As captain of the United Earth vessel Diplomat, Frank had the privilege of seeing this view more often than most. Today, however, he couldn't enjoy it. In 6 hours, he would lead the first official human delegation to the Galactic Council. Frank adjusted his navy blue uniform and ran a hand through his short brown hair. At 42 years old, he had spent most of his adult life preparing for this moment. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, and in that short time, they had explored dozens of star systems and made contact with 3 alien species. All those encounters had been peaceful, if somewhat cautious. But now the Galactic Council, a federation of 17 spacefaring civilizations, had finally extended an invitation for Earth to send representatives. "Captain, we're ready to depart," said a voice behind him. Frank turned to see his second-in-command, Lieutenant Samantha Wells. At 35, Sam was one of the most capable officers he had ever worked with. Her curly red hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her green eyes held a mix of excitement and concern. "Thank you, Sam. Is the delegation all aboard?" "Yes, sir. Ambassador Kate Rogers just arrived with her team. Dr. Alan Peterson is giving them a tour of the medical bay." Frank nodded and took one last look at Earth. Then let's not keep the council waiting. The Diplomat was not a large vessel by military standards, just under 300 meters long, but it was the pride of the United Earth Defense Force. Its sleek design featured the best technology humans had developed or adapted since joining the galactic community. The diplomatic quarters were spacious and comfortable, designed to accommodate both human and alien visitors. As Frank made his way to the bridge, crew members nodded respectfully. Everyone understood the importance of this mission. This wasn't just about establishing trade relations or cultural exchange. This was humanity's chance to prove they belonged among the stars. The bridge was a model of efficient design. Curved displays showed the status of every ship system. In the center, a large holographic projection displayed their planned route to the Galactic Council's headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a neutral star 27 light-years from Earth. "Captain on deck," announced Sam as Frank entered. "As you were," Frank said, "navigation is our course plotted." Lieutenant Joe Garcia looked up from his console. "Yes, sir, the jump drives are charged and ready. We can depart on your order." Frank settled into the captain's chair. "Communications, send our departure message to Earth Command, then engage the drives." "Message sent, sir," replied Communications Officer Lisa Kim. "Earth Command wishes us good luck." "We'll need it," Frank muttered before raising his voice. "Engage drives." The Diplomat hummed as its engines powered up. Then in a flash of controlled energy, the ship folded space around itself and disappeared from Earth orbit. The journey to the Council headquarters took 3 jumps and 14 hours. During that time, Frank reviewed the briefing materials about the Council races. The reptilian Vexnar were the oldest members, having achieved space travel nearly 5,000 years ago. The crystalline Loom had joined 3,000 years later, bringing their expertise in energy manipulation. The gaseous Z were relatively new members, joining just 800 years ago. Each species had its own biological quirks, cultural taboos, and political agendas. As the Diplomat approached the Council station, Frank couldn't help but feel small. The station was enormous, a spinning wheel nearly 20 kilometers in diameter, with spokes leading to a central hub. Ships of various designs and sizes moved in orderly patterns around it. "Receiving docking instructions," Lisa announced. "We've been assigned to docking bay 47. Frank nodded. "Take us in, Joe, nice and easy." The Diplomat slid gracefully toward its assigned bay. Through the viewports, Frank could see alien vessels of incredible diversity. Some looked almost organic with flowing lines and curves. Others were geometric and precise. Each represented thousands of years of unique technological development. "We're docked, sir," Joe reported. "External atmosphere reads normal for humans." "Good." Frank stood and straightened his uniform. "Sam, you have the bridge. I'll join the ambassador's party in the ship's main airlock." Ambassador Kate Rogers waited with her team of 5 diplomats and 2 cultural specialists. Kate was in her 60s, with silver hair and the confident posture of someone who had spent decades in high-pressure negotiations. "Captain Miller," she greeted him. "Ready to make history." Frank managed to smile. "As ready as I'll ever be, Ambassador." The airlock cycled open to reveal a reception area staffed by various council representatives. A tall Vexnar stepped forward. Its scales shimmered with iridescent greens and blues, and its vertical pupils narrowed slightly in the light. "Welcome to Council Station," it said in slightly accented English. "I am Kazite, Senior Ambassador for the Vexnar Hegemony and Council Liaison. Your presence honors us." Kate stepped forward. "Thank you, Ambassador Kazite. I am Kate Rogers representing the United Earth Government. We are grateful for this opportunity." As the group moved through the station toward the council chambers, Frank noticed something odd. The aliens they passed seemed to be watching them with unusual intensity. Some even moved away as the humans approached. It wasn't the curious interest he had experienced in previous first contacts. It felt more like fear. The council chamber was a grand circular room with 17 raised platforms arranged in a ring. Representatives of each member species sat on their respective platforms. In the center was a smaller circular platform where speakers could address the entire council. "The Earth delegation will wait here until called," instructed Kazite, indicating a small antechamber. As they waited, Dr. Alan Peterson, the delegation xenobiologist, leaned toward Frank. "Captain, have you noticed how they're looking at us? Something's not right." Frank nodded slightly. "I've noticed. Stay alert, but remember we're here on a peaceful mission." A soft chime sounded, and the doors to the main chamber slid open. "The council will now receive the Earth delegation," announced a voice. Frank took a deep breath as they walked into the chamber. Whatever was about to happen would change humanity's future forever. He just hoped it would be for the better. The council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Kate Rogers stepped onto the central platform. Frank stood nearby with the rest of the human delegation, trying to read the alien faces around them. The Vexnar's reptilian features were hard to interpret. The loom's crystalline structures refracted light in patterns Frank couldn't understand, and the gaseous Z hovered in their containment suits, their forms swirling in what might have been agitation. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council," Kate began, her voice steady and clear. "On behalf of the United Earth Government and all humanity, I thank you for this invitation. Earth looks forward to peaceful relations and mutual exchange of knowledge with all your civilizations." A low murmur spread through the chamber. The chief council representative, a Vexnar named High Elder Sakavar, raised a scaled hand for silence. "Ambassador Rogers," the Vexnar said, its voice deep and rumbling, "we have reviewed the data on your species since your first faster-than-light journey 15 Earth years ago. We have concerns." Frank felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't the warm welcome they had hoped for. "What concerns, High Elder?" Kate asked politely. The Vexnar tapped a control, and a holographic display appeared above the central platform. It showed a timeline of human history. "Your species moved from simple tools to space travel in less than 10,000 years, Scavar said. From your first powered flight to faster-than-light travel in less than 200 years. No other known species has developed so rapidly." A loom representative spoke next, its voice sounding like crystal bells. "Your adaptability is unprecedented. You survive in environments that would kill most species. You learn and incorporate technology at rates that alarm our scientists." Frank glanced at Kate, who maintained her diplomatic smile despite the growing tension in the room. "We consider these traits to be strengths," Kate replied. "Humanity has faced many challenges on Earth that required us to adapt quickly." "They are strengths that make you dangerous," said a Z, its gaseous form pulsing within its containment suit. "You developed nuclear weapons and used them on your own kind. You fought wars that devastated your planet. Your entertainment glorifies conflict." Frank stepped forward. "With respect, many of our artistic works also celebrate peace and cooperation, and we've moved beyond many of our past conflicts." The Vexnar High Elder fixed Frank with a cold stare. "Captain Miller, we have studied your history extensively. Your species has never gone more than 70 years without a major war. Now you have faster-than-light capability and are expanding rapidly." The holographic display changed to show the planets humans had explored, and the small colonies they had established in nearby star systems. "This is normal exploration," Kate said, her voice taking on an edge. "We seek knowledge and new resources, not conquest." "Perhaps for now," said the loom representative, "but what about in 50 years or 100? Your population grows quickly, your resources are limited. History suggests you will eventually seek to take what you need from others." Frank could feel the mood in the chamber turning darker. This wasn't a welcoming committee, it was more like a trial. The High Elder tapped another control, and the display changed again, showing simulations of future human expansion based on current trends. The projections showed human influence spreading rapidly through nearby star systems. The Council has reached a decision, Scavar announced. By unanimous vote, Earth and all human settlements are to be placed under quarantine. No human vessel will be permitted to travel beyond the boundary of your solar system. A shocked murmur ran through the human delegation. Frank stepped forward again. High Elder, this is outrageous, he said, struggling to keep his voice level. You invited us here under the pretense of peaceful contact, only to imprison our entire species. It is not imprisonment, Captain, the Vexnar replied. It is containment of a potential threat until your species demonstrates sufficient stability and peaceful intent. This may take centuries by your time measurement. Kate raised her hand to silence Frank before he could respond further. The United Earth government will not accept this decision, she said firmly. We came in peace. We have shown no aggression toward any council race. Your objection is noted, Ambassador, said Scavar coldly, but the decision is final. Council enforcement vessels will establish a perimeter at the edge of your solar system. Any human ship attempting to cross that line will be destroyed. You are permitted to maintain your existing colonies, but no further expansion will be allowed. Frank couldn't believe what he was hearing. In less than an hour, humanity's future among the stars had been extinguished. Your delegation will be escorted back to your vessel, the High Elder continued. You have 26 hours to depart council space. As guards moved to surround the human delegation, Frank leaned close to Kate. This can't stand, Ambassador. It won't, she whispered back, but for now we go home and plan our next move, carefully. The journey back to the diplomat was tense and silent. Once aboard, Frank called an immediate meeting in the ship's conference room. Ambassador Kate, her team, and Frank's senior officers gathered around the table. Options, Frank asked once the door was sealed. Dr. Alan Peterson, the xenobiologist, spoke first. They're afraid of us. That much is clear. Our rate of advancement terrifies them because it's so different from their own evolutionary paths. They've given us no choice but to comply, for now, Kate said. Any aggressive action would just confirm their fears. So we just accept being prisoners in our own solar system? Asked Sam, her voice tight with anger. Kate shook her head. Of course not, we play along while we build our strength. The council races think in terms of centuries. We need to show them that humans think faster than that. Frank nodded slowly. We report everything to Earth Command and we start planning. Planning what? Asked Lisa. Frank looked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. How to show the Galactic Council that humanity will not be caged. If they want to see us as a threat, then perhaps it's time to give them something to truly fear. 3 years passed since the Council imposed the quarantine on humanity. On the edge of the solar system, just beyond the orbit of Pluto, Lieutenant Commander Eric Jones stood on the bridge of the patrol vessel UES Defiant. His dark eyes scanned the vast emptiness of space as the ship drifted along its regular patrol route. The Defiant was a small vessel, only 120 meters long with a crew of 45. Its primary mission was to monitor the quarantine line and report any alien activity. Another boring day in space prison, said Ensign Kelly Jackson from her sensor station. At 26, Kelly was the youngest officer on the bridge, but she had proven herself to be an excellent sensor operator. Eric smiled slightly. Boring is good, Ensign. For 3 years, humanity had played along with the Council's restrictions. Earth ships patrolled their side of the boundary, while Council enforcement vessels, mainly Vexnar cruisers, patrolled the other side. There had been no confrontations, no attempts to break through the quarantine. Earth appeared to have accepted its confinement, but appearances could be deceiving. Contact bearing 45 Mark 117, Kelly announced, her voice shifting to a more professional tone. Vexnar patrol cruiser standard configuration, right on schedule. Eric nodded. On screens. The main view screen showed a Vexnar vessel approaching. It was about twice the size of the Defiant, with a green hull that seemed to shimmer in the distant sunlight. The alien ship's design featured smooth curves and an almost organic appearance, very different from the more angular human vessels. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Ryan Bishop. Put them through, Eric ordered, straightening his uniform. The reptilian face of a Vexnar commander appeared on screen. Earth vessel, this is Commander Cassith of the Council Enforcement Division. You are approaching the boundary line. Return to your designated patrol area immediately. Eric put on his best submissive expression. In the 3 years since the quarantine began, he had learned how to deal with the Vexnar. They responded well to deference, even if it was fake. Of course, Commander, just finishing our sweep, heading back now. The Vexnar officer gave what passed for a satisfied nod among his kind. See that you do, the Council's patience has limits, human. The screen went dark and Eric's friendly expression vanished. Charming as always, Ryan muttered. Set course back toward Neptune, Eric ordered. Standard patrol pattern. As the Defiant turned away from the boundary, Eric checked the time on his display. In 12 hours, everything would change. The Council races had grown complacent. They thought that they had humanity figured out, contained, and controlled. They were wrong. After his shift ended, Eric returned to his quarters and activated a secure communication channel. A moment later, the face of Admiral John Reeves appeared on his screen. At 62, Reeves had been one of the strongest voices against accepting the quarantine, though in public, he had supported the policy of apparent compliance. Report, Commander, Reeves said without preamble. The Vexnar patrols continue on their regular schedule, Admiral. They've shown no signs of increased vigilance. If anything, they've become more predictable over the past 6 months. Reeves nodded. Good, and your crew? They're ready. No one knows the full plan, but they understand that something big is happening soon. Morale is high. Excellent. The Leviathan launches in 10 hours. You'll receive final instructions 1 hour before the operation begins. Until then, maintain normal patrol activities. Yes, sir. If I may ask, how is Captain Wilson handling the pressure? A rare smile crossed the Admiral's face. Diana was born for this mission. She'll get the job done. The communication ended, and Eric lay back on his bunk, thinking about what was to come. For 3 years, humanity had been building something in secret, something that would change everything. Far from the quarantine line in a hidden shipyard orbiting Jupiter, Chief Engineer Olivia Mason stood in awe as final preparations were made for the launch of humanity's greatest achievement. The UES Leviathan was massive, nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern. Unlike the sleek, aesthetically pleasing vessels of the Council races, the Leviathan was all hard angles and practical design. It wasn't built to look pretty. It was built to survive, to fight, to win. Final systems check complete, reported Olivia's assistant Ben Riley, all green across the board. Olivia nodded, a fierce pride swelling in her chest. Begin crew boarding procedures. Captain Wilson should be arriving within the hour. The Leviathan was unlike any ship ever built by human hands. Its hull contained adaptive armor that could learn from attacks and reinforce vulnerable areas automatically. Its shields operated on rotating frequencies that changed faster than any known targeting system could adjust. And its weapons. The weapons were something entirely new, using principles reverse-engineered from fragments of alien technology combined with human ingenuity. The Leviathan carried weapons that no Council race had even conceived of. Chief Mason. Olivia turned to see Captain Diana Wilson approaching. At 45, Diana had a reputation as one of the most skilled and level-headed officers in the fleet. Her short black hair was streaked with gray, and her brown eyes held a quiet determination that inspired confidence. Captain Wilson, Olivia greeted her, the Leviathan is ready. Diana looked up at the enormous vessel. Is she everything we hoped for? More, Olivia said with conviction. The Council thinks we're just primitive apes who got lucky with our technology. They have no idea what humans are capable of when backed into a corner. Diana nodded. 3 years of playing nice, of pretending to accept their quarantine. 3 years of building in secret. It all comes down to the next 24 hours. Are you nervous? Olivia asked. Wouldn't be human if I wasn't, Diana replied with a slight smile. But I believe in this ship and I believe in our cause. Humanity deserves a place among the stars. If the Council won't give it to us freely, we'll have to take it. As the two women walked toward the Leviathan's main airlock, Diana added, the Council races think in terms of centuries. They expected us to spend decades or even centuries accepting our confinement before slowly negotiating for more freedom. They don't understand humans very well. No, Olivia said. No, Diana agreed, and that's going to be their downfall. The UES Leviathan moved silently through the darkness of space. Despite its massive size, the revolutionary engines designed by Olivia Mason and her team emitted no detectable energy signature. To any observer, the space ahead would appear empty. Captain Diana Wilson stood on the bridge, her posture straight and confident as her crew worked around her. Approaching the outer boundary of Neptune's orbit, reported Navigation Officer Paul Carter, his fingers dancing across his control panel. Stealth systems functioning at 100%. Diana nodded. Weapon status. Gravity lances charged and ready, replied Tactical Officer Greg Martinez. Quantum torpedoes loaded, point defense grid active. The bridge of the Leviathan was large and circular, with workstations arranged in concentric rings around the captain's command chair. The design was efficient, allowing Diana to see and communicate with all departments at once. The lighting was dimmed to reduce eye strain during long missions, giving the bridge a somewhat dramatic atmosphere. Communications status of the fleet, Diana asked. Communications Officer Heather Davis looked up from her station. All patrol vessels are in position along the quarantine line, Captain. They're maintaining normal patterns to avoid suspicion. Admiral Reeves confirms Operation Breakout is green across the board. Diana took a deep breath. The plan was simple in concept, though complex in execution. The Leviathan would approach the quarantine line at a point far from any patrol vessels using its stealth technology. It would slip past the Council's monitoring stations. Once beyond the line, it would make a series of short jumps to avoid detection, then appear near a major Council world, not to attack, but to demonstrate that humanity could not be contained. Engineering reports the jump drives are fully charged, announced Heather. Chief Mason says we can make up to 5 consecutive jumps before needing to recharge. Good. Diana settled into her command chair. Let's proceed as planned. Take us to jump point Alpha. The Leviathan continued its silent journey toward the forbidden edge of the solar system. On the main view screen, Diana could see the distant pinpricks of light that were the stars of their galaxy. Somewhere out there were the 17 Council races who had decided humanity didn't deserve to be among them. Today, that would change. Captain, we're picking up a Council monitoring station ahead, Paul announced. Range 5 million kilometers. Diana leaned forward. Show me. The view screen shifted to display a magnified image of a small space station. It was clearly of Z design, with a spherical central hub and radiating spines that contained various sensors and communication arrays. They haven't detected us, Greg confirmed after checking his tactical display. Their active scans are passing right through our stealth field. Diana allowed herself a small smile. Maintain course and speed, take us right past them. As the Leviathan silently glided past the monitoring station, the bridge crew held their breath. This was the first real test of their stealth technology against actual Council sensors, not just simulations. We're clear, Paul finally announced. The station showed no sign of detection. A quiet cheer went up around the bridge, quickly silenced by Diana's raised hand. This is just the beginning, she reminded them. We still have a long way to go. For the next 2 hours, the Leviathan continued its approach to the quarantine line. Twice more they passed Council monitoring stations without detection. Finally, they reached the invisible boundary that had contained humanity for 3 years. Quarantine line in visual range, Paul reported. Diana stood up. This was the moment they had been working toward. All stations, final checks, prepare for breakthrough. Around the bridge, officers reported their readiness. The atmosphere was tense but excited. Every person aboard knew they were making history. Captain, Heather suddenly called out. Message from Admiral Reeves, Priority 1. Diana frowned. They weren't supposed to receive any communications until after crossing the line. Put it through to my station. The message was brief but alarming. Council enforcement vessels had increased their patrols in the past hour. Something had made them suspicious. The plan was still go, but caution was advised. Diana considered her options. They could abort and try again later, but that risked giving the Council time to increase their security measures. Or they could proceed, knowing the risk of detection was higher than anticipated. Change of plans, she announced. We're not going to sneak across quietly anymore. Her officers looked at her in surprise. Navigation, plot a course directly for jump point Alpha. Engineering, prepare to disengage stealth systems on my mark. Tactical, ready all defensive systems, but do not arm weapons. Captain, Greg questioned. The plan was to show the Council that we could slip past their defenses without them knowing, Diana explained. But now they're on alert, so instead we'll show them that even when they're looking for us, they can't stop us. The crew quickly adjusted to the new plan, reconfiguring systems, and preparing for a more direct approach. Vexnar patrol cruiser detected, Greg announced. Bearing 30 Mark 142, range 3 million kilometers and closing. Diana nodded right where we expected them, helm steady as she goes. The Leviathan continued on its course.